Hello and welcome to the newest video on the Ashes of Creation world and everything you need to know about it. I have been staring at this map for so long that I have begun to get sick of it, but by the end of this video you will love it because I have put in the hours of nerdy work so that you don't need to, so that you can completely understand everything there is to know about the Ashes of Creation world. Now, Stephen Sharif has been quoted to say that the world size is 480 kilometers squared, approximately, and that there's also going to be around 100 kilometers of underworld in the Ashes of Creation world. However, because the developers love us so much, they like to keep information as sparse as possible, so when they uploaded this map to the wiki, they did not add a scale. So while a normal person might just think, oh okay, this map is just a cool reference as to what there might be, all that meant for me was that I then had to take the information they'd given in other places, apply it to this map, and figure out just exactly how big the world was going to be. Now, 480 kilometers squared doesn't really work in terms of finding a square root, so we're going to assume that the world is 484 kilometers squared, because that would give it a square root of 22 kilometers by 22 kilometers. Now, this grid that they have used to create the world map is 950 squares, which is 38 squares by 38 squares, and after counting by hand, I figured out there is 518 squares of land and 432 squares of sea. Now, 22 divided by 38 means that each square is around 600 meters roughly. That's dividing the 22 kilometers by the 38 squares there are on the map. So each of these little squares on the grid accounts to about 600 meters by 600 meters in the Ashes of Creation world. So now, after seeing that we've got 518 squares of land and that there is going to be 167, to be precise, squares of underworld from the 100 kilometers that we know that there will be, we can deduce that there are going to be 685 squares of territory, which means each node will have roughly 6 squares of land. And so I then had the bright idea of creating a reference for how big nodes were going to be. This ended up taking way longer than I could have ever imagined, and for some reason I didn't stop. But here it is. Now, this image will be up on my website for download if you would like to use it as a reference, but remember, it is exactly that, a reference. I have tried to remain true to the world, but of course the actual nodes are going to be completely different, and don't even think about how long this took me, because you will then begin to feel even an ounce of the pain that I feel right now. But anyway, let's get into what this actually means. So, because there is a limited number of squares, by their nature, coastal nodes are going to be smaller than the inland nodes. However, it's important to remember that it is very possible when the actual game comes out that not all nodes will be created equally when it comes to size. It's possible that coastal nodes will actually have less squares in total on the entire map because they have the benefit of being in a coast. The same could be said for areas such as this. And you see in this area we've got mountains on all sides and then a bunch of huge mountains in the middle. This means this node is going to be completely protected from attack and probably has some valuable mining resources. So in the actual game, it could be possible that this node would be way smaller. Or take this node, for example. It is in the middle of two mountains going across each other, and it's in the green valley in between. So it gets access to the defensive aspect. It has all these mountains for mining. It's got lots of hill land and forestry, and it's got the luscious land that is protected all around it, as well as having access to a river. So it's possible that the more natural resources you get, the smaller your world is. Let's take a look at the desert land, for example. Lots of land, not a lot of resources being split up by the various nodes that would be here. Same with the the arid lands here. This is the worst biome I found, by the way. It just does not seem to have anything in it. If we would compare this to a fantasy land, this would be Mordor. Like, you've got Gondor or Rohan over here and Mordor over here. You might be able to tell I've now completely embraced how much of a nerd I've become about this game. There's no fighting it anymore. After spending my entire night doodling in reference nodes on a world map, there's no fighting it anymore. This is my life now. But yeah, as I said before, this map is now available on my website, free to download if you'd like to use it as a reference for how big the nodes are going to be, or if you want to add your own plans to it, start making nodes, things like that. Or if you just want to support me by going on the website and giving me some traffic, that would be awesome, because it all helps it to grow and appear higher on the search engine. And final point before we wrap up this video, it's important to remember that although there are the different biomes in this world, it's possible that not all of them will be looking like they do here, because it has been announced that the Ashes of Creation world will have seasons. So you see that there's luscious green forests on the left hand side, bottom left hand side of the map, and then on the right hand side of the map you've got this snowy biome. It's possible that during the summer the snowy biome will have greener areas and the forests will bloom, and that in the winter the left hand side luscious forest will get more snowy and icy. It's hard to say at this point, but that is everything I was able to figure out from the world map and from the details they have given in quotes and on the wiki. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to subscribe, and thank you.